what's this, YouTube and Instagram. So welcome, man. I'm Emmett Combs, real estate broker, Combs Premier Realty Group, broker here in Orlando and Atlanta, Georgia. But I want to do a Q&A this evening for our From Rent to Wealth by a seminar that's happening this weekend, Saturday. All right, January 31st from 12 to 3 p.m. downtown Orlando. So I've been having a lot of discussions this week, last week, and really it's been about home ownership, right? Home ownership. A lot of people they are really supporting renting, and they feel like renting right now in this market is the most secure thing to do, especially with interest rates so high. In many cases, I want to say this. In many cases, it does justify renting, right? So tonight I'm drinking on beet juice. You Beet juice give me energy. Instead of energy drink, we're doing beet juice, the healthy way. So look, again, the title for the Q&A. So if anybody jump on the live, if you have questions about home ownership, you have questions about from rent to wealth, and what this home buy workshop is all about, feel free to just drop your comments in the comment section below, and we'll address them. Right, we'll address them. Any questions? Now, there's normally three things that people have challenges with when it comes to home buying, or why they decide not to purchase a home. And normally one category is either credit, right? One category is savings. Other category is cash flow, right? Not enough income. So when we raise the question of, I have my board back here. It's still wet. Let me see if I can get it dried off. So we raise the question about, is it more like, which one is more important, right? Savings or cash flow? Now, I know people who have a lot of savings, not a lot of cash flow. Now, I can tell you this, there's a lot of secrets when it comes to owning real estate, and you know, it really all depends on what like. Turn on my body. There's a lot of secrets when it comes to real estate, right? And they're not much secrets, but it's just either you know or you don't know. Now, I can say this: cash flow is king when it comes to real estate. Cash flow is king. Everybody, you should have savings, but cash flow is king, and there's a lot of reasons why. But first, I want to say this, right? I mean, man, I've saved so many homeowners, just by home ownership in the past 6 years, like you wouldn't believe. And home ownership has sparked so many people, entrepreneurship careers, businesses, and so forth, just by having access to capital. And from rent to wealth workshop, right? There's a couple like double-edged swords with that. For one, rent, right? Everybody gonna start out renting. Everybody gonna start out renting. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the difference between rent and also the mortgage payment, the lifeline of that. I'm gonna talk about some of the benefits of home ownership, and I'm gonna talk about when there is an appropriate time for you to rent, right? And then how long is an appropriate time period for you to rent. All right. And again, if there's any other questions, and so I'm addressing this because I had a very thorough conversation with somebody, and I told them I go on live and just discuss it and talk about it more in depth. But if anybody have any other questions, please drop it down in the comments and I'll address them. But so you have two different things going on, right? Right here you have rent, right? See, can you see that on that side? Yeah, you can see it. All right, you have rent. On this side, you have mortgage. All right. So let's say for the purpose of this, we're going to say the rent is $2,800. You see that? $2,800. I need to move it over. I'm going to squeeze it in because the IG Live don't allow us to show that much, so I'm going to squeeze it in. So you have rent. $2,800, right? Got it. Yep. So we have a mortgage, $2,800. I put that amount because that's about what the average mortgage for a first-time home buyers is running about $2,800. Really, it's about $3,000, but let's say $2,800. That's another price point that renters are comfortable paying, around $2,800. I know a lot of them want to be at $2,000, but those days are slowly fading away. But see, first and foremost, right? Home ownership. When you purchase a home, you're going to get homestead exemption. When you purchase a home for your primary residence, you're going to get homestead exemption. In fact, I'm going to go through the lifespan first, and then I'm going to show you. Then I'll just show you the difference between what a primary home does and what protection it has versus a rental property. All right. So when you're renting, this is what happens, right? That rent is going to leave. And when that rent leaves, it goes out, it goes to pay somebody else's mortgage, right? With this mortgage, when they receive that money coming in, this mortgage goes out and does four things. It actually goes into an escrow account, right? So when you pay somebody, when you pay rent, that rent payment is going to go into somebody's escrow account. More than likely, somebody's mortgage on that property is about, say, $2,400. All right. And so in this situation, you have, first of all, it's going to do five things. It's going to create cash flow for the property owner, right? In this case, it's $400 cash flow per month. All right. That mortgage payment also is going to pay the principal, which is the debt. Right? You're going to pay the debt. It's also going to pay the taxes. All right? It's also going to pay the insurance. And it is also going to pay the interest. Okay? So this is like the lifespan of a rental payment. For a tenant, it goes out, right? Never comes back. So the only thing that comes into a tenant like account would be income, earned income, right? So you're going to use your earned income to pay the rent, and then that rent goes out to pay someone else's mortgage. Now, over here, you create, if you're the owner, you create $400 cash flow in this scenario. Well, that mortgage payment is going to pay your principal, your debt, right? It's going to pay your debt down. And then what this does, it creates a whole nother lifespan called savings. So this amount can go into savings, right? The $400, that can go into your savings. You have the debt, so it pays down the principal. And as you pay down the principal, you build what we call equity, right? And so equity is another form of savings as well. All right, it pays the taxes on the property. This taxes is going to save you. It's going to save you money on what? Earned income. And interest is going to save you money on what? Earned income. So when you file your taxes, these two right here save money on the income earned, right? And so this part right here is going to grow by the equity and also the cash flow that's being generated. And so outside of this, you have one other outside factor, and that will increase in our savings. And this is called the market, right? So as the market goes up, the real estate market, and I hope it's not too crazy on there, but as the real estate market goes up, what it does right here is our equity goes up, right? Our equity goes up because the value of the market goes up. And so, but if the market goes up, then what happens to our rent? Our rent will be increasing because the property owner taxes is going to increase. right? And if the taxes increase, that means this part is going to increase, right, to cover the increased taxes. And so the taxes that increase is still going to save on our earned income because it's a tax write-off. The interest is going to save on our earned income because, again, it's a tax write-off. So now we're sitting right here and we're building savings. We're building our equity, which increasing our savings. So when you understand the power of home ownership, it solves both problems, because I will always say this, you should always have an issue that you're resolving when it comes to purchasing property. You should be solving a cash flow problem or a savings problem. Now, I don't know the answer to a lot of you guys to the question that I gave. A lot of you guys, as far as which one could you live without, either cash flow or savings. But I'm gonna tell you, a lot of you guys, whether you guys are actually asking yourselves a question, and a lot of you guys are making a decision, whether it's income or savings, just by making the decision to choose to rent. Because if you're renting and you don't have any cash flow coming in, right, then you're choosing to not create cash flow, and you're also choosing to do the manual savings, which is nothing wrong with manual savings, because I always say if you can save 6 figures within 6 years, then I mean it's a good reason that you're renting, right? You're saving a lot of money. But if you can't save 6 figures within 6 years, then this is a clear model of how to do so. Now, again, the biggest question that people have is, well, I don't have enough money saved up for my down payment. I don't make enough money to be able to afford a property, and my credit score is not strong. Well, see, when you're making consistent payments on your mortgage, right, it solves all those problems. And at the Home Buyer Workshop, right, from rent to wealth, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how this model right here, this simple model right here, can generate you 6 figures within 6 years. 6 figures. I mean $100,000 in 6 years. Just understanding the appreciation rate in a particular market, all right, and how to buy the right property in the market, right there. So, I hear a lot of people talk about, especially in the recent years, that, well, the value of their home went down over the last 2 years, right? Well, there's several different markets. You have A markets, you have B markets, you have C markets, E markets, right? And more than like, well, not even gonna say more than likely, if you're in an A market, your values over the last year or two, more than likely you appreciated in value. Maybe not by a lot, but maybe by 5%, 6%, you still had an appreciation of your home's value, right? If you're in a B market, maybe your value of the home stayed about the same. If you're in the C market, you may have seen a decrease, right? If you were in one of those D markets, then you may have seen a significant decrease in your home's value, right? And you may see a lot of properties still in the market right now. I mean, it might be a buyer's market in your area. So understanding where to buy is a significant reason as well to be at a home buyer workshop and get educated. Look, there's several reasons why you should own a home, right? You have homestead exemption, which is your primary residence. It protects you in a lot of different ways. It also saves you on property taxes, right? Saves you up to $50,000 per owner, up to 2. So 25,000 per owner, up to 50,000 on your property tax assessed value. You also would then qualify for the Save Our Homes Act, which limits your property tax assessment from increasing 3% annually. So when people taxes go up, right? When their taxes go up, what does that mean? When people complain about the taxes going up, that means that their property, well, I mean, it could be their primary residence, but if you are renting somebody property, you're renting somebody property, then they don't have homestead exemption protection. They don't have that homestead exemption protection, meaning that if the market value increases by 7%, that means that property taxes is more than likely going to increase by that amount as well. And then that is going to pass through to the tenant. So when you get a big increase in your rent, it's mainly because the cost for that homeowner or investor to carry that investment has increased. So they're going to pass that expense on to the tenant, right? And so for those who say they can't afford to live in a home, regardless of what you're paying somebody mortgage who couldn't afford to purchase that home, but they somehow found a way to purchase it, and they pass the expenses on to the tenant, the person who's renting it. And for that, it's causing that money to go to work for you. So this is what I want you guys to understand. In 2026, I want you all to understand from rent to wealth is not just a regular home buy workshop. We're gonna really go over and elaborate how to make your hard-earned income go to work for you and not just go out and you don't see it again, because we want to make sure we're saving money in 2026, and we want to make sure we're creating cash flow in 2026. I can tell you right now, the benefit between cash flow and savings is this. If I have the cash flow, I can go get the money. I don't need the savings, right? And if you have the savings, you can go and create the cash flow if you know how to invest it properly. So if you have either or, you can create the other one. But the cash flow is more valuable than the actual savings, because if you have the cash flow, then there's unlimited amount of things you can do with the cash flow when it comes to, acquiring things, getting loans, lines of credit, all of that. Everything can be generated. Any type of funds needed can be generated with the proper cash flow. So cash flow is always going to be king over savings, because cash flow can create the savings that you need. It also can give you access to cash that you may not have. All right. But at the Home Buyer Workshop, we're going to be going over all of these details. We're also going to, be going over answering more in-depth questions, but we're also going to, be going over of course, the reasons to own a home, which is, of course, your automatic savings plan, homestead exemption, the Save Our Homes Act. All right. And all the benefits that the homestead exemption does for homeowners, and also how to become an investor. Right? When is the right time to buy a primary residence? When is the right time to buy an actual investment? Right? When is the right time to and what's the difference between a cash flowing property and a savings property, a property that generates an excessive amount of savings or equity? They're not one and the same. They both are different. A cash flowing property won't appreciate as fast as an equity property, right? And an equity property more than likely won't cash flow. They're in two different markets. But look, I've dropped the link. If you haven't already registered for our From Rent to Wealth Home Buy Seminar coming up this Saturday, January 31st, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., make sure you either can comment ready below. All right, ready below in the comments, or if you're watching this on YouTube, I already dropped the link in the description. You can register there. We do have limited seating, so please go ahead and register if you intend on attending, and we will send you a confirmation email or text on whichever you prefer during the registration process. All right. You also can go to Eventbrite. You find the link on Eventbrite and register that way as well. Please make sure you leave the correct contact information so we can confirm your registration. Listen, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below. I'll be coming back and checking the comments from this live a little bit later. But look, y'all have a blessed evening. I hope this helped people understand the power of it. But at the workshop, we're going to be a lot more granular, and especially talking about the power of the credit, how to improve your credit, how home ownership can help you get to an 800 credit score or above, and exactly how to build your credit in person, business and personal credit. And we're also going to teach you how to carry debt the right way. All right. So you can always be bankable, meaning you can always go and get a loan for a home purchase, a car purchase, a business loan, whatever is necessarily needed. Right. Because there's a couple ways to create wealth. All right. And one of them is debt. So we can't be afraid of debt, but you can't acquire debt if you don't have the proper credit. So listen, I'm Emmett Combs, real estate broker here in Georgia and Florida. Home buyer workshop going down right here in Orlando, Florida, downtown Orlando, Florida, Saturday, January 31st from 12 to 3 p.m. Make sure you register, and we'll see you guys soon.